How long does it take to get a character going in Season of Discovery right now? April 8 is coming, and that means there's gonna be a new raid, the Scarlet Enclave, so a lot of people wanna come back. But how do you come back? Well, I came up with this question myself because I got a problem. My guild is dead and all my homies are alliance. So that means I had two choices. I gotta play on my warrior, which is plenty behind and is a tank and alone anyway, or I could reroll to alliance. I am afraid we're gonna become Anglo-Saxons. It is time to put on our V-neck sweaters and go to a tiny wooden church to pray incorrectly because we are going alliance. So how hard is it to get a character going from scratch? First of all, you gotta get level 60. Actually, back in the day, this used to be much easier because you could just spam incursions all day and that could get you from, I think, 30 to 50 pretty easily. Sadly, that is not the case anymore. They kept the incursions to 1 a day. They are pretty much worth doing if you can get them, you know, if you can get a group going and do them. It's like a full level or so it's worth it, but it is not very good. Personally, I got boosted all the way to 60 because a friend of No Hit Jerome just whispered me and he boosted me for free. Now with the invasions, it is actually extremely quick. You can get boosted from level 10 when the experience starts to work for the boosting thing to level 60 in about 4 or 5 hours. It is ridiculously fast. We're talking like a level every 3 minutes or so. You need a prot paladin to do it and they charge 50 gold per level, so it is not something you can afford if you're new. So sadly you gotta level normally, which is still a hell of a lot faster than classic proper, obviously, but it still freaking sucks. It is pretty slow. I took a break at about level 40 to do my class quest, you know, my berserker stance, my defensive stance, and then I did a Nomer, Sunken Temple, BFD. They all do a level if you do them in the proper level, so that's pretty good. I came to find out that nobody really does BFD anymore and nobody does Sunken Temple anymore, only Nomer. I don't know quite why. I think Sunken Temple is kinda hard for a random group of 7 people leveling. Nomer you can knock out pretty easy. And that's a shame because Sunken Temple has a lot of hit gear that would be really useful for a fresh level 60, but I beg to differ. Finally I got to level 60. Shout out to Butterball, greatest booster of all time if you're in Crusader Strike and you need a boost. He boosts is really good and you better hurry because they are gonna nerf it in April 8. The invasion is gonna end and that's gonna suck. So you wanna get a character to 60 and you got the gold. That's the best way to do it. Current content before the raid is Naxx. Now here's the problem with Naxxramas. They got this new mechanic which is sanctified gear. You need sanctified Naxx gear to clear Naxx. It's the classic situation of you need experience to get the job, to get the experience to get the job. It is stupid. Here's how it works. You get a seal that you get from a quest and it is basically Azerite, you know, like the one thing that killed BFA. For some reason Blizzard thought it was a good idea to do it again. Well, that thing, you gotta get levels to get damage scaling so that way you can get into raids. Now here's the problem with Naxxramas. People do not do hard mode 0 anymore, so 0's level seal is not a thing. You need to have at least a seal level 5 to do hard mode 2. Your seal level makes it so every piece of sanctified gear gives you a flat increase of damage, so you can cap at 8 pieces of sanctified. From what I could gather, people expect you to have about 6 pieces of sanctified and level 5 seal to get into like a decent random Naxxramas pog. You can get Karazhan Crypts, which is a rather difficult dungeon to clear if you're a fresh character, but you can get Karazhan Crypts and get some sanctified gear on that. The levels of seals is very easy. All you gotta do is go to an invasion and right click the crystal over and over, and that's how you get your Naxx, Remnants of Valor, whatever, to get your seal up. You turn it inside of Naxx. You need about 2000 Remnants of Valor total to get like a level 7 seal. That's what you wanna go for. It is tedious, but it is really easy. You can get up to 5 piece sanctified by doing the invasion crystals. There is the necrotic runes. You can trade 30 of those for gloves, and then you can get a chest and a bracers that drop from the crystals themselves. And they got a set bonus, the 2 piece, that you get 2 more points of whatever sanctified, so you can go up to 5 in total. That's a good start. I did get those as I got boosted, but you can do the crystals for Remnants of Valor yourself and you're gonna get the same sanctified thing anyway. You also need at least Honored to go inside the Naxxramas with the Attunement. If you get Revered, it is cheaper. It costs you like 300 gold. You gotta buy some random materials of the auction house to get in. I got Revered because I got boosted and it caps out at Revered when you get the crystals. So most people that do the Remnants of Valor are gonna be Revered anytime soon. It is a lot of reputation. That's what you could do, get your seal and then do the attunement. But before you can go to Naxx with your seal and your sanctified, you are gonna need actual proper gear. So I hit level 60 and for the attunements it was pretty straightforward. I got together with Classic Go and we just did /who Blackrock Spire and we whispered people until one guy had an ID that we could use for the attunement. You know, you gotta kill the quartermaster outside and then go inside of Ubers and right click the orb. Very simple. Then for BRD we can do a lava skip. That's very easy too if you got a healer. Go is a druid. We just did the lava jump all the way to the attunement place and we snuck in and got it. Very easy, so that way we were attuned for Molten Core and BWL first thing we did. And after an hour of being 60 I decided, and this is what you should do, get in a random hit 0 Molten Core because Molten Core has a lot of tier 1 sets and it also has reals. Reals are very important. We were both as naked. Go didn't even have a weapon. He had a blacksmith hammer. He put it on to look the part, okay? That's how down bad we were. It turns out that people do not care who they bring into Molten Core anymore because Molten Core hit 0 is ridiculously easy for a moderately geared group at this point and they just want to get their Thunder Furies, so that's all they do there. So they don't really mind carrying a few noobs. They don't need the gear anyway, so you can go in and snatch up all that gear. I got 4-piece tier 1 myself just from that Molten Core because nobody needed anything. Molten Core is very free. You should absolutely do it first thing you hit level 60. There is plenty of people willing to carry you. Just try to not draw too much attention to yourself and your gear and you're gonna be fine. So what is a real? Real is a currency that drops from every Molten Core boss and every raid boss basically. You can do 25 for a tier 1 piece, any tier 1 piece, or you can get a couple tier 2 pieces for 35 reals. So that means even if you get no loot, as long as you keep clearing dungeons and raids, you are gonna get enough to buy pieces of gear, but it is not wise to spend them before you raid because you wanna buy with your currency whatever piece you are missing, of course. So after Molten Core we did Thunderan and the Forest Dragons for very easy and quick reals. Once again, it seemed that people don't care about your gear at all in those runs, they just wanna get them done. We had something going for us and that was that we were at the last day of the lockout, and if your gear sucks, that's the best time you can raid because there is a lot of people desperate to get a raid before the lockout and they are willing to take people that are not very good. And best yet, the dragons drop like 50 gold in total, and that gold was very necessary because I had no spells. I got boosted, I was broke. There was even a cleanup group trying to do an AQ 20 before the reset and doing the good old lying about your gear and zoning in at the last second so nobody inspects you. Go and me managed to get into that too. I wasn't even the bottom DPS in that somehow. We got to the 5th boss and then the group inevitably fell apart as all I got was this stupid tanking gun. Now any purple you can get is great for you because in SoD most people measure your gear score, that's an add-on. It's just like your item level average, so even if it's not a good item, if it's a high item level, that's what you want to put on right now for a pug. After that I got into a Solgorob because I needed a weapon desperately. There is no normal Solgorob groups anymore, they just do the mount and the idols and that's all they farm. But also, once again, those groups do not care about who they bring because all they want is the mount and is reserved, so they are willing to carry people to get the thing going. So once again, Solgorob is very easy to do without gear. I got the necklace and I got a Zulian Slicer. Not ideal, but I had the Nomeregan Axe, so it is a huge upgrade. I guess we are gonna go dual wield now. The problem is I have no offhander and no gold, so I bought a green offhand for 8 gold, and that was all I could get. By the end of this very productive night, I reached a gear score of 400, which is oh so terrible. A Naxx character is doing 1100 gear score, an AQ 40 character is about 900, and you could say that a full tier 1 person is going like 700 and something, so I was still badass naked, but less badass naked. I was missing 2 trinkets and I got a grey helmet, so that was also a problem, but it is not wise to spend your reals yet, because we still got 2 raids to do. Black Black Wingler, and Naxxramas. What about AQ40, you might ask? Well, AQ40 is not worth doing. You are not gonna find a group for it because Pogs have a really hard time clearing it. It is very difficult mechanically, and the gear is not even best in slot, so there is not a lot of incentive to do it. So AQ40 is essentially dead in the Pogging world. You can pick up a quest to get a free weapon, a best in slot almost weapon from this quest, the Perfect Poison. All you gotta do is kill Kurinax, the first boss in AQ20, and then Venoxis, a random boss in Solgorov. You should absolutely do that, and you're gonna get a free weapon that would have been huge. I forgot to pick it up, don't make my mistake. However, in the end, we decided with Jerome to try our luck at a Black Wingler. By this point, I was rocking 700 gear score, which is still awful, but high enough that people can look at me and not complain, which is what I want. I got 2 pieces of tier for free, and get this, I got both a Cruel Choruk and a chromatically tempered sword in the single raid with it. I swear to God, man, if I could get this in anniversary, I would die. So yes, I was pretty freaking decked out, but since AQ40 is dead, the only progress we could get at the end of this week, because we did everything else, was to do a Naxxramas, and here's where the hard part gets, because my gear is absolutely atrocious for a Naxxramas. 700 gear score, no Sanctified, I only got those crappy invasion pieces, no seal level whatsoever. We rushed and we got like 4 levels of seal just by going back and forth in the questing. We should have done it for a little longer in hindsight, but it doesn't matter. If you are gonna get into an Naxxramas and you got no gear, here is what you do. I got together with my guildies, all the people that I could sneak into that raid we tried, and I started whispering random healers. Like every paladin, I whispered every paladin until one guy said, oh yeah, I wanna do an Naxxramas. You see, Holy Paladins are extremely rare in SoD right now, and they are very necessary. So if you can get a Holy Paladin with you, so you can go to a Pog and tell them, hey man, I got 2 DPS and a Holy Paladin, you need that? And they are gonna say yes, because they need a Holy Paladin. Of course, in the mind of the Pog leader, the Holy Paladin is my friend, so if he kicks me, he's gonna lose the Holy Paladin. He doesn't know that the Holy Paladin is a stranger. So that's the way you secure yourself into a good spot. We were with Mincy, who is a Warlock. Warlocks are also pretty useful. But the Holy Paladin, I think, is what saved my life. So we actually got into a Pog with a Holy Paladin, Jerome, Mitzi the Warlock, and another Hunter Cheesebags. All the people from my guild I tried to sneak in with, and we had to zone in at the last minute so we didn't get inspected. Actually, a Paladin from my group, Crasho, he was in Stormwind when the raid leader was in Stormwind, and he saw him and he kicked them. Do not get inspected. We told Mincy to summon us last, so that way they would have less time to find us, and when we zoned into Naxxramas, we snuck inside of a Moonkin, okay? Because the Moonkin is big, and that way people cannot mouse over you, because people got this add-on called Taco Tip, that it tells you the gear score of people when they mouse over you. You gotta get inside a big model like a Moonkin, so that way they cannot mouse over you. We picked up the quest for the seal, and you also gotta pick up a quest from the trash, so that way you can turn in your tier pieces later, and we just waited and snuck and tried to fly low. Do not draw attention to yourself. The only time that I got recognized is because Jerome cannot spend a second of his life without attention, so he started yapping and we got recognized, and inevitably people inspected us and they were like, oh, these guys are in grace, kick him, and we got kicked. So do not draw attention to yourself. It is not streamer privilege, the contrary. Thankfully nobody noticed us, and by the time we got into the first boss, we are locked out, so we are very unlikely to get kicked even if we suck, because how are they gonna find more people at that point? So we stood on our merry way. I even got a main hander from this Naxx, and I got 3 pieces of tier, and I only killed the raid once.
Jerome,
I thought you guys were going to keep it going long.
Okay, let me explain, okay? My bow in Anniversary is the same keybind as mid hook in SoD, so I just wanted to shoot the mob, okay? I just wanted to shoot it and I just pulled it into the raid. I literally killed everybody in Kel'Thuzad. That was not fun. Thankfully, they weren't mad enough to kick me, and after 2 hours and 30 minutes, because a tank left in the middle of the run and we had to find a no tank, it was awful, we got an Naxxramas cleared, 3-piece, tier 3, 6-piece, sanctified. I hit rank 5 seal on top top of that, I even got a tanking trinket to inflate my gear scores because of the pugs, you know, so it was a really good run. And after I turned in my 2 pieces because I can't afford my boots yet, because you need materials to turn them in, I got a total of 909 gear score. I got enough sanctified gear and enough gear score and seal level that I can get into a Naxxramas right now without any problem. I can get into a hard mode too, and even though my gear is still not great, nobody is gonna complain about my gear. I consider myself pretty set. All I gotta do now is do a Naxxramas every week. Once you get that first Naxxramas, you should be like enough sanctified that you should be fine to keep going into more pugs. The first one is the one that's hard. Then again, if you try at the last day of the lockout and you just are patient with the groups, you should be able to get into one of them as long as you got your seal level in order. People will tolerate you. No need to sneak into a group anymore. All that was done in a playtime of 1 day and 12 hours. So yes, catching up to SoD is still very much possible, but I would have never got this far if I wasn't willing to push my luck and use a lot of very clever gaslighting to get inside groups I had no business in being. Because your only way to get sanctified otherwise is Caras and Creeps, and Caras and Creeps sucks because nobody does hard mode 0 anymore, so you got no choice but to go to hard mode 2 and you need sanctified for that. Not to mention that Caras and Creeps is kinda hard. So yes, be a leech. Whisper healers, get healers with you and then offer you with a healer to a pug, and pugs are more willing to tolerate you. And just get a Naxxramas as soon as you can, no matter if you're bodass naked, you get into whatever Naxxramas, even if they don't clear, even if they break apart, you're still way ahead than otherwise, because sanctified is all you need. And yes, you can probably get yourself to Naxxramas viable state in about a week. Honestly, the hardest part is that if I had not gotten boosted, I wouldn't even be 60 right now. Leveling to 60 is the hard part, it kinda sucks. I got a question for you though. How far behind do you feel right now? How far behind do you feel if you were to get back into the game right now? I mean, a lot of people are coming back for the new raid and it would suck if you missed out. It is very much possible to catch up right now. Subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.